In the midst of the season, the Lake Forest men's hockey team picked up 3 out of 4 possible points this past weekend on the road after a 1-1 tie against St. Norbert. It was a 3-2 win in overtime over Finlandia. Now tied for second place in the NCHA South Division with Aurora. They're going to host Adrian College on Friday and then Trine University on Saturday. I'm Cam McGuire, the voice of Lake Forest College hockey, and coming up next, joining me on this week's episode of Inside Forester Hockey is head coach Pat Keller. Well, Coach, a big weekend last weekend. You guys picked up 3 out of 4 possible points last weekend. If you told me you were going to pick up 3 going into the weekend, I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously anytime you're going on the road in NCHA play and getting 3 out of 4, it's a good thing. I think both games obviously a little bit different. 1-1 tie against St. Norbert, traditional powerhouse team, and that's always good. But I think at the same time you could look at that. I thought we had some chances to win the game late, especially having a couple odd man rushes there in overtime. And that Saturday was a different game. We knew Finlandia was going to be a really hard team to play against, obviously coming off a big win the night before against Aurora. And I think it took us a little while to kind of get going, and but luckily we got some contributions from some different guys that helped spark the team and made that 7-hour bus ride a lot easier on the way home for sure.
Your goaltender on Friday night, George Argyropoulos, he gave you guys a really good chance to win on Friday night against St. Norbert. He was stellar all weekend, 57 of 60 stops, and he's actually a kid. He had his first career win against St. Norbert, so I talked to him early in the week. He was pretty confident going into that game.
Yeah, I mean, George heading into St. Norbert there. I mean, last time we were there, he played a really good game against them, got the victory. He had a great weekend for sure, both games. I think Saturday can't be overlooked either. We gave up more chances than we certainly would have liked against Finlandia, and he gave us a chance to win both games. He was definitely our MVP for the weekend, and he's been playing some really good hockey.
We talk about Saturday. Everyone knows the story on Finlandia this year. Already 4 wins on the season. What was the message going into this one? They were coming off that 2-1 win over Aurora, and more specifically, what was the message going into the third period when you guys were deadlocked at 1?
Yeah, I mean, I think the message going into the game was, forget everything that you knew about them from previous years, and it was going to be a really tough game, and I think we knew that going in. I think a little bit of frustration from our coaching staff on Saturday, just in the sense that, not that it was a tight game, we expected that, but I don't know if we had that 60 minutes to compete. Ended up being a little over 60 minutes, but I thought we took some time off certain periods of the game, second period especially. So the message going into the third period was, you're going to have to compete really hard to come out of here with 2 points. And I think we had a number of guys step up in the third period and bring that effort, that enthusiasm that we needed, to end up getting the overtime victory.
Well, it was a significant weekend last weekend. Marked 12 games left in the regular season, all up for points, all NCHA games. So now 10 games left in the regular season. How would you evaluate your team so far this season?
Yeah, I mean, certainly next 10 games going to be huge. The conference is so tight. I think I was looking at, I want to say 7 teams within 2 points of first place, in the conference overall. So I think overall kind of evaluating the team is we've been good in different aspects at different points throughout the year. I think at times we've been really good defensively. At times we've been really good offensively. At times special teams have been really good, or really good on the power play or the PK. But I think, for us, we need to bring it all together and be good in all phases of the game at the same time. And I think that's the goal heading down the stretch here, is kind of try to put it all together, have some consistent play throughout our game, and not just rely on, our offense to get it done or our defense to get it done. But at the same time, sometimes you need that, but we're going to be searching for some consistency and just to be better in all phases of the game at the same time, I guess, if that makes sense.
Well, games number 16 and 17 of the season are here this weekend. Adrian College at home on Friday at 3:30, and then Trine University on Saturday at 6 p.m. Well, everyone remembers the Adrian game last year in the semifinals, but some might forget you guys played them to a 2-1 game at home last year earlier in the season. What can you tell the fans about Adrian this year?
Yeah, I mean, Adrian's always, one of the most skilled teams that we'll play all year, one of the most skilled teams in the country, I'd say. I don't think that's, ever really in doubt. They got a really high-flying offense. They got a senior goalie that's played every game for them this year. Obviously a lot of big game experience there, but, they're a team that you can't play loose against. If you want to go, chance for chance against them, you might be in for a long night. But at the same time, like you said, last time we had them here, we played them really tight, ended up losing that game. But, we outchanced them. If I remember correctly, we outshot them that game. We played them really well, played them the right way. And I think hopefully the guys can kind of draw on that confidence playing them at home here. But it's another opportunity like last weekend to, playing a top 10 team in the country and, expect them to come out and put the pressure on offensively. But I think if we're sound and we're structured defensively, we'll have some chances throughout the game as well.
Well, Trine, they're just in their second year. They're 6-8-1 this year. They're on a 4-game win streak, but they haven't played a conference game in over a month. You look at their discipline. Last year, you guys capitalized on a lot of power play chances. This year, they're averaging just around 10 minutes of penalties per game. That's towards the bottom end of the Division III landscape. How are you guys going to try and knock them off their game?
Well, I mean, I think, last year those games that we had against them were somewhat outliers, I think. And if you looked at their schedule, it took a ton of penalties against us, both times we saw them. So not expecting that same thing. But I also think, if you play a sound game, you play structured, and if you're disciplined yourself, sometimes that can frustrate teams. And I think maybe we saw a little bit of that last year with them, taking a lot of penalties. But they're definitely an improved team. So we're not expecting that same 8-9 power plays a game, but we just gotta keep to our game, be structured, be disciplined, and if you're able to get some scoring chances on them early, make them chase you a little bit, maybe you can draw a few and try to capitalize on the power play.
Well, both games this weekend are home games at Alumni Memorial Fieldhouse, 3:30 against Adrian on Friday, and then Trine on Saturday at 6 p.m. Be sure to come out and check those out if you can. If you cannot, you can always stream them online at GoForesters.com.